What's up, everybody? It's the middle of the day in the middle of the week, and you're listening to another Fuller Show with Josh Fuller. You're on KTXF, The Real. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Josh Fuller Show. We are here on a Wednesday, which we always are. We usually are live on KTXF, The Real. You can use your TuneIn app to listen to us live. Otherwise, you can listen to the podcast later whenever you want. That's the beautiful thing about podcasts. We had Kenna Danielle in the studio this week, and I've known Kenna for a very long time, since she was about 13 years old. She started playing music when she was 11. She asked her dad to teach her or get guitar lessons for her when she was 8. So Kenna, this is a lifelong journey for her so far, and she's doing a really good job at it. And we really had a good time listening to her stories. She just got back from Steamboat, and she had plenty of stories to tell, and we had a really good time hanging out with her. It was a lot of fun. Also joining us was Randy Young. Randy used to work for CBS as an engineer in radio, and he also worked for Lieberman Broadcasting. Now he has his own studio called Cut and Shoot Studios out of Cut and Shoot, Texas, where he does a lot of his own video and audio work, including doing a lot of work with John Schneider, who you'll remember he played Bo Duke in the Dukes of Hazzard, as well as Clark Kent's dad in Smallville, and a bunch of other stuff. He also had a lot of musical accomplishments in his day, and he's got more stuff coming out now, as a matter of fact. So we have a lot to catch up on and a lot to talk about, and we are glad you are here. Please share this podcast if you like it with your friends. And if you want to be a part of the show, that's the best thing, is to tune in live using your TuneIn app every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. at KTXF The Real. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Just two good old boys, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. Straightening the curves, and on it flattening the hills. Someday the mountain might get them, but the law never will. Making their way, the only way they know how. That's just a little bit more than the law would allow. Good. Go, bro, Doolin, go! Making their way, the only way they know how. That's just a little bit more than the law would allow. Just two good old boys, we wouldn't change if we could. We're fighting the system like a true modern day Robin Hood. I'm a good old boy. You know the network loves me. But they don't understand how we kept loyal fans all these years on TV. No, they don't understand how we kept loyal fans all these years on TV.
My teeth on the working man blues. When I knew I was hooked on Haggard tunes. do. They just made music for people like me and you. Oh, and now they're all hanging on the wall, way on past last call down at Old Green Hall. Come on, Bree.
Once upon a time, they were all outlaw drifters, but they headed back south to that Whiskey River, starting a whole new way of nightlife, gave us new memories of good times. So here's to Willie, and here's to Waylon. Must not have been too afraid of failing, 'cause they didn't do what they were told to do. They just made music for people like me and you. Oh, and now they're all hanging on the wall, way on past last call down at Old Green Hall.
Here's to the good-hearted women, and God bless the rambling men. So here's to Willie, here's to Waylon. Must not have been too afraid of failing, 'cause they did not do what they were told to do. They just made music for people like me and you. Oh, and now they're all hanging on the wall, way on past last call down at Old Green
Had to let that last part go. That last little fiddle drag. Anyway, all right, we are back. You're tuned into the KTXF, the real, everybody. If you're listening to it now, you already know how you find it. But if you're listening to the podcast later and you want to hear this show live, go to the TuneIn app and then search for KTXF DB, the real, or just KTXF. The rest of it will kind of pop up for you, and it's real easy. And if you want to text into the show, I got to remember to turn on my app here. If you want to text into the show so y'all can tell Kenna how much you love her and Randy how awesome his voice sounds on radio, you can text in to 832-910-7359, 832-910-7359, and we'll get the text right here, and then you guys can participate in the show, right?
Sounds
right.
good.
All right, good. So you flew into our little area, your hometown, yesterday.
Yes.
And I knew you were in town because you posted a tweet about United losing your guitar after they stripped it from your hands in Denver. I have had that argument several times with people about, no, it's my right to have my guitar with me in the overhead. And then, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. So it didn't work out for you.
It didn't work out. In fact, it went the complete opposite. Oh gosh, it was so irritating. And I'm usually pretty, diplomatic with these kind of things, because I realize there's lots of people on this plane and everything. But long story short, there were 5 groups boarding, right? It was a big old plane. I was in the second group, so there's plenty of overhead space, right?
When you got on,
yeah. When I got on.
Right.
Well, they made me stay behind and board last.
Why?
Good question. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
So I was the absolute last person on this full flight, and the guy was like, well, if there's room in the overhead. I'm like, are you kidding me? There was going to be room,
right,
but now
on the
there's not.
ticket that I paid for,
Exactly.
good money, to have my spot.
Exactly.
Oh, it drives me nuts.
So long story short, we get to Houston from Denver, and I get off the plane, and no one can tell me where to go to find my guitar, because the guy took my guitar, and he's like, well, we're going to take care of it, and it'll be there in Houston. I'm like, well, it better be. So I get there, and no one can tell me where to go. So finally, after 20 minutes, after walking around the Houston airport, we found where to find my dang guitar.
Oh my god!
It was just like, come on, guys, this is the only tool I need to work, just about.
Yeah, and that's why I swear they passed. Maybe they changed it again, but a couple years ago there was a law that they actually passed it that it is your tool. You have to have it. So put it in your overhead.
I have that law in my guitar case, but I don't know what I did to this guy in Denver, but this guy was totally against me. So I told him, I was like, hey man, like I'm not trying to argue with you, but this is a federal law, and this is like the one thing that I need to work, and everything else, you know. Somebody's socks and underwear, I think, is a little bit less important than my instrument.
Yeah,
and,
it's a way to make money. I mean, it's my living.
Exactly. It's totally your living.
The only way that I can make money. So, anyways, long story short, I was sitting there trying to talk to this guy, like, okay, look, I promise there's going to be overhead space right now. And then eventually he was like, you know what, just you're going to go to the back. And he made this argument with, that law is only valid if there's room in the overhead space. And I'm like, trust me, there was, but you made me important lies.
Oh my God.
I don't understand.
Maybe he liked you and he was trying to get you to miss the plane on purpose. And so that you'd have to wait for another flight, and in that time he could get your number.
Oh my gosh.
You could play him a song. I don't know, man. That really sucks. I've been fortunate. Now, granted, I haven't had to travel as much as most rock stars travel, but and if I did, I drove usually. But I've taken my guitar a couple times. Like I flew to Nashville with my guitar, and I was lucky enough to not have to gate check it. Like I don't know if I was just an ass enough to make them like, I don't know, but because I'm always really nice. But if I know something for a fact. I don't like to debate people and argue people because I get so flustered. I can't just have an even keel debate. Let's talk about the facts. No, if I know something, I'm completely in 100%, and then you contradict me in my adrenaline rushes, and I'm just I turn into a rage monster. So.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt anybody at the airport these days.
No, you don't want to yell at people at the airport for sure. And maybe Antonio Banderas. With his guitar case, guns ruined it for everybody. I don't know. So, all right, well, let's get into a little bit of Steamboat, why don't we? So this was your first year to go?
This was actually my 4th year to go.
Oh, wow.
I'm still not one of those official artists on the Dixon roster, but this was the first year that I did have multiple shows there. I got to play on a couple of the Rebecca Creek stages. And,
so they have more than one now.
They have 3, I believe.
Okay, well that was cool then.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe don't quote me on that, but I played on 2 of them 3 times, so that was really cool. Got to gain some exposure there.
Yeah. Oh, we all need exposure. The more exposure, the better.
Totally, especially hey, in Steamboat, Colorado, exposure is a real thing.
It's a real thing. Actually, a couple, in more ways than one, it really is. But
yeah,
I went with Rebecca Creek 3 or 4 years ago.
That's cool.
And it was just when they did Slopeside. And as I said on the way up, I rode up with Josh Ward, Zach Nytompt, and Shane Smith.
Oh, wow,
and all
that's
their
so cool.
guys, and then that's when Justin was still playing guitar with Josh. But we rode up, and it was horrible weather. It ended up taking us almost 20 hours to get there. It was the worst drive ever. Me and Josh never slept, and so we got there. And Josh is a trooper. He can just do whatever, and he knows a lot of people. So he kind of got up there and kind of hit the ground running. He was off to network and do his thing. And I got there, and I was already not feeling good. The second we got like unpacked and unloaded, and that particular year, I didn't have passes to any part of the festival except for Slopeside. Like, that's where I was going to play. And so all I could do was go to Slopeside. And I didn't know enough people to just, like, be squeezing in the back rooms and the back stages and everything. And so I think I was a little disheartened about that. And then I let the sickness kind of take me over. And so I ended up staying in my hotel room almost the entire time, except for when I went to play Slopeside. And I think the 3rd show that I was supposed to play Slopeside, I couldn't even get out of the bed.
Really?
It was terrible. Yeah, it was terrible. And unfortunately, that was the first time that I'd met Zach and Shane. And so I played a show with Zach a couple years later. And Zach's like, man, I'll be honest with you. We all thought you were just being an asshole. And I was like, dang it, man. My one time to kind of go out and network with other cool people at Steamboat, and they just all thought I was a jerk, and I just stayed in my room.
Oh, no.
And I was just sick. I just had nothing else to, what was I going to do? But so that's my sad story. So let's hear all your uplifting stories about all the things you got to do.
Well, mine was the complete opposite. I don't think I got more than 12 hours of sleep the whole week. I actually got home last night from the plane, and I fell asleep, and I woke up just a few minutes before I had to head this way.
Wow.
I was not expecting that, but yeah, it was really cool. I got to play 2 shows at Slopeside, and one of the newer Rebecca Creek stages, Double Diamonds. And it was really cool. Mario Flores is the one that does the booking for those things, and he adds on so many artists. And we actually got to play. I got to play with a guy named Isaac Jacob, and he is super, super talented. If you haven't looked him up, and actually, one really cool thing was my buddy. His name is Wes Barlow. He's at a College Station. He's actually really good friends with my bass player, Wes Smith. And Wes Barlow plays the fiddle, and he got just kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and got to play with Stoney LaRue in the big tent at Music Fest.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I watched him with Stoney, and then the next day he played with me at Slopeside on the fiddle, and I was like, yes, cool. It was super cool. It's just, I love Music Fest. You get to be just surrounded by all these different artists, and it's just like, they're just really cool.
See, and that's the experience I was hoping to get when I went, and I just I missed out on that, because I went to the Nashville CRS week, which is Country Radio Seminar Week, and so it's when all the radio, your big people come into to town to Nashville, and they all do their seminars, and they learn what they're doing this year and who's going to be hot, who's not, and all this other stuff. It's all the good behind the scenes stuff. But also all the artists come back into town to thank radio. So it's the one week you can go to Nashville, and it's what Hollywood would let you think Nashville is, to where you're going around a corner and you're bumping into somebody important, you know. And I got to meet so many people there, and so it was really neat. And I didn't get to play with anybody cool up there, but I was playing a show. I don't know if I've already told this story on a previous episode or not. I was playing a show at the Stage on Broadway, and I was doing my song Hard On, which is my little double entendre song. And oh man, I done forgot his name now. Yep, that's going to be bad for radio.
Oh, yeah, I always forget names. That's why I'm looking up ahead of time so I don't forget.
Vince Neil of Motley Crue.
Oh, nice.
He walks in, and he's got a little entourage of girls with him or whatever. And I'm in the middle of the chorus, and I'd already prepped the bar to be singing the chorus back to me, that callback. You know, I'm like, hard on. And they're like, hard on. So he's walking in the door, and I'm right in the middle of the chorus. So all he hears is hard on. And I see him stop and kind of just do a little thing like this. He didn't look at me yet, but you could tell he was paying attention. And then I got to the second part where I say it again. And he just kind of turned around to me, and he just kind of mouthed the words like, all right. And then he just turned around and went back to the bar and started drinking. I was just like, okay, that was a pretty cool thing. Not only did I sing with him in the bar, but I got his attention too. So it's hard to avoid a hard on in a Nashville bar, I guess, is the moral of that story. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So and I saw you took a picture with one of my favorite dudes, Cody Canada.
I did. I ran into him a couple times.
I didn't expect his beard to still have so much color in it. He must have added some color to that beard before Steamboat.
What is it? The men's
the just for men. Just for men. It's the just for Cody.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Just for Cody. Yeah, no. He was awesome. Man, we got to see him at the ballroom, and he always puts on a great show. He brought his kids up on stage, and they
his
just
son can play
it.
guitar, man.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Good grief. I saw him at Main Street Crossing. They were just doing sound check. I think they'd finished sound check, and Stoney and Mike McClure, or not Stoney, I'm sorry, Cody and Mike McClure are sitting over in the corner. They're just hanging out, and his son's just up there just busting out some. I think it was Voodoo Child or something. It was something very recognizable, and just it's great. It was good stuff.
That's so cool.
It is. My kids have no interest in music, and that's fine. They got their own interests. I'll push them whatever they want to do. Speaking of, I got some creative liberties to take later, and not today, but my 8-year-old's on a baseball team, and they're going to go to the World Series this year. So we're going to be raising money through my show, probably, because this is a sports network after all. So I get to talk about my kids' tournament team, which is going to be pretty cool. You happen to have a brother that plays a little bit of baseball, just a little bit of baseball.
Just a little bit.
Talk about him. Give him some props.
Yeah. Well, he's playing single A ball with the Dodgers right now. Mm-hmm. I believe he's heading back to Arizona. I believe that's where he's going. I don't know. One time he was in Michigan for a few weeks for the same team, so I'm a little confused about that. But I think he's based out of Arizona. But right now he's in Conroe. And I actually think the Houston News is doing should be doing a show on him either tonight or tomorrow. They were at there's a big old baseball facility, and he's gotten to work out with, I want to say Jose Altuve, all the Astros guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So.
Well, I remember about this time when did I run into you at Green? and he had just gotten done with tryouts. He had tried out. He did a big team workout with the Astros.
Yeah.
And it was right before the draft, like the week before the draft.
Yeah, this was like this summer.
Yeah,
we had no idea what was going to happen, and it's really crazy because people, you know, in the draft there's different rounds, and everyone thinks that the higher round you go, the more money, the bigger signing bonus you get. But he actually got drafted in one of the top 10 rounds, and they gave him like $1,000 signing bonus, which is nothing. That's like pennies compared to.
We may not be able to
I've
talk
seen,
about that.
some single A ball players be traded for catfish. Okay?
Exactly. And so what he has these agents, and they're like, no, just wait. Like, you're gonna get drafted later, and it's gonna be better. Just trust me. And we're like, what? How does that work? And it ended up, I think he got drafted in the 13th round, and it was just crazy. Like, you don't expect.
Right. Well, you're used to hearing all the big numbers of the people that make it
exactly.
to the actual major
Right.
whatever. So it's totally different. It's related, but it's obviously not. It's you can't compare it. But my son plays a game called The Show on PlayStation, and so you start out. You're a player, and you create your player, and you get to go through the tryouts, and then you get drafted by a team, and then you got to work your way up through the minor leagues and all that. And even in that game, it's telling you just take whatever money they offer you, because in the minors you're not expected to make that much. Just take what you can, show off, and do your thing, and then the money comes later. So I'm sure that y'all will laugh about that someday. It'll be really cool. And then he'll be buying catfish for everybody.
Yeah, well.
Have a big fish fry. I remember, Roy Oswald got a bulldozer as a bonus one year, I think.
What?
Or something like that. Some kind of a tractor.
There's all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, this was back.
Shoot.
I mean, it made national
That's
news.
country.
We got a place we need to use that. So, Marshall, come on.
Can I get a backhoe?
Yeah, Marshall was like, step up your game,
Yeah.
dude. Start asking for stuff that your family can use, man.
Yeah. But Marshall Kosaski, I'll be looking out for him. He's kicking butt. He's
He's a pitcher, right?
He is.
Yep.
He's a pitcher, and he's been working his butt off. I kind of have to share a little bit of a backstory behind him just because I'm so proud, and it's pretty inspirational. But he went to Oak Ridge High School here in Conroe and couldn't make the baseball team up until his junior year, and then he was put on JV and never played a game. And then finally his senior year, there was a coaching change, and he finally got put on varsity. And that was really his only high school experience. And everyone was telling him, you're never going to play college ball. You're never going to do this. And he ended up getting a full 4 years of college paid for completely because of baseball. And now he's playing ball for real. So
yeah, playing ball for real for a legit team.
So,
yeah,
Man, making a living at it. Hey,
Exactly.
If you can do that, that's great.
that's really, really cool. So I guess we could do a quick segue then into the next break. And you wrote a song for your brother.
I did.
You can tell the story about that one
Yeah.
too. We'll play it right after we go to break.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, a quick story about this song. It's called A Cross, 2 words. And it's about Marshall. He was playing ball at U of H. I can't remember what year. I want to say 2015. But December 21st, 2015, he was in a really bad car accident. And basically, at the time, we thought that it ruined his baseball career. But it only ruined his season. And, you know, whenever we were getting the calls from the paramedics and everything, the paramedics told us that they showed up to the accident with body bags. They were not expecting anyone to be alive, especially not the driver of that car. And sure enough, they show up to the scene. He's walking around, and he walked away with just a concussion and a little bit of internal damage, but it was nothing crazy. And then it ended up being the best thing possible because U of H ended up cutting his scholarship because of this accident. Just as a business decision, he couldn't play for a whole season, so they had to put the money towards someone else.
Right.
And because of that, he ended up transferring to WT out in West Texas A&M, and they did give him a full ride scholarship, and that is where the Dodgers started looking at him, and also the Astros looked at him too. So, yeah,
it's just, it's proof there's always a bigger plan out there than what you think it is.
And if he was still at U of H, they would have never looked at him. So this is really cool.
Yeah, well, this is a really good song. I told you, I sent you that text message.
Yeah.
I mean, I play it almost every time I have a show, and it makes me cry every
awesome.
time. But so yeah, let's listen to the crosses, or A Cross. I'm sorry, and this is Kenna for her brother.
and simple. Some have flowers hanging down. They all go on forever, but I see them different now. As I sit in the driver's seat in silence, I believe in angels as me and Mama cried. We knew there was one with you on 288 that night. I say a prayer every time I see a sign of the road memory, 'cause it reminds me of what I lost. Well, you could have been across. You say that you'll never take for granted again a sunset or a baseball game, or be scared of that first pitch, knowing everything can change in the blink of an eye. Might have opened yours, but it sure has opened mine. And I don't say enough that I love you. And I believe in angels as me and Mama cried. We knew there was one with you on 288 that night. I say a prayer every time I see a sign of the road memory, 'cause it reminds me of what I lost. Well, you could have been across my heart that was almost broken. I'll never leave any words unspoken, and I thank the Lord for keeping you down here. I believe in angels as me and Mama cried. We knew there was one with you on 288 that night. I say a prayer every time I see a sign of the road memory, 'cause it reminds me of what I lost. Well, you could have been across. Thank God you're not across.
I got a woman who's wild as Rome. She likes being naked, gaze to bone. She crosses the bridge, she sets it on fire. She lands like a bird on a telephone wire. I'm gonna holler and I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna give me some Escalade. Then I'm gonna rhyme that with gasoline. It's a drunken poet's dream. There's some money on the table and a pistol on the floor. A few paperback books, a little more. Whiskey bottles are scattered like last night's clothes, with cigarettes and papers and Oreos. My harmonica's got a busted reed. My lips are chapped and about to bleed. She says that's nothing when she was a kid. She danced with the dead at the pyramids. I'm gonna holler and I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna give me some Escalade. Then I'm gonna rhyme that with gasoline. Some drunken poet's dream. pay back my student loan. Smelling like Coors cheap cologne. She tells me not to worry about Judgment Day. She says time to get in heaven just ain't our way. I'm gonna holler and I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna get me some Escalade. Then I'm gonna rhyme that with gasoline. It's a drunken poet's dream. Whoa. I got a woman who's wild as Rome. She likes being naked and gets alone.
Classic Galveston.
If you've had an accident or just a fender bender, the last thing you need to do is tangle with the big city. When Classic Auto Group Collision Center can take care of all your repairs, island style. Our certified technicians can repair any make or model, and we back up every repair with a lifetime warranty. Classic Auto Group Collision Center, now open at 6601 Harborside Drive, ClassicGalveston.com.
Classic Galveston, enjoy the difference. Island style.
All right, so we're back here with Kenna Danielle, and we've been talking off here about some cool stories. So I figured we might as well just repeat what we just talked about a little bit, just a little bit. But now I can't remember. Oh, so what we were talking about was somehow in my life I have come across many young, talented people that I'm envious of in a good way, because I didn't get the chance to be supported and pushed along at an early age. I got started in my musical endeavors very late in life. So I already mentioned earlier that you started when you were 11, but talk about a little bit about how your parents just, I've always admired how they supported you. I know they would drive you to every gig and do all that stuff, but how did it kind of start to come to where you're like, you know what, I'm going to go play music, and your dad's like, yeah, you can go play music and put a tip jar out. You know, how did all that start working out?
Yeah, well, actually, okay, we'll time travel all the way back to when I was 8 years old. My great-grandfather passed away and handed down a guitar to my dad. My dad played, he probably knows about 3 or 4 chords. He doesn't actually play guitar. He refuses to say he does, but he can pick around a little bit. So, basically, we were doing some spring cleaning when I was 8 years old, and he took out that guitar, and I just fell in love with the way the instrument sounded. And I begged him, I want a guitar lesson so bad. And at that point, my dad started learning guitar, and he was 8, and he hated it because he was 8 years old, and we're of Polish descent, and he had Polish family yelling at him in Polish, thinking that they were screaming, but actually they were just talking to him.
And I can say this because I'm Polish too. It's not a pretty language.
It's not.
No, we're all 3 Polish, okay?
Yeah.
Well, how about that?
3 Polacks in one room, right?
How'd that happen?
Oh no. But yeah, so he never enjoyed it just because the way that he was taught, and so he was like, no, you don't want guitar lessons, just trust me. And finally, I never stopped begging for them, and for my 11th birthday, my parents got me, instead of, my birthday present was guitar lessons for that year, which was really cool. And my dad was like, well, if you're going to learn guitar, I want you to learn with someone who actually knows how to play guitar and like can actually teach you and not yell at you in Polish. So sure enough, that started happening, and my parents were like, okay, it's going to be a year, and then 6 months in, she's going to be tired of it. Never happened. And I actually started writing songs. I didn't know that I was writing songs when I was 11 years old. I always liked to write poetry even before I started playing guitar. And one day I was just like, well, I don't really want to learn someone else's song. Like, what if I just kind of put this poetry to some chords? And I didn't know I was writing songs. And then Tim Nichols, he's another really talented musician.
Very talented.
Yeah, from around this area. And he heard me in my room one day. He's really good friends with my parents. And he was like, what is she doing? Is she singing up there? And I'm like, yeah, but she won't sing for us. And so finally he was like, you're writing songs. Like, you know that, right? And he taught me about a songwriting camp. And that's when I really wrote my first song that I'll admit to writing, and kind of got taught what a whole verse and chorus was. And then that's when my parents were like, okay, well, do you really enjoy this? Because we'll keep putting money into the guitar lessons and stuff if that's really what you want to do. And it never went away.
That's awesome,
yeah.
though. That's the money is necessary, but the money isn't the thing. But the the support of just, hey, if this is something that you
Exactly.
do and you're going to be committed to it, do it. And that's what we were talking about off air, how my kids don't play music, but they'll play baseball, or my older son wants to do videography and everything. And eventually I'm going to get him working with Randy as an intern or something. But as long as they stay committed, I'll put the money necessary for them to have the good equipment to do it. Because, I mean, you lose motivation if you don't have the good stuff. I mean,
Totally.
you start riding bikes and you got a crappy bike that weighs 50 pounds, you're not going to ride bikes very long.
Right.
But so it's the same thing. So it's really neat that they did that.
Yeah, but that's something my parents have always, I've always been really good with. Just kind of, I mean, I don't know if my parents want me to say this, but when I was 13 years old and got my first paying gig, it was at Wick Saloon. It was a smoky bar. And they didn't stop me. They just said, okay, we're just going to be there with you to make sure, you know, like, and they really supported it from day one. And that's so cool. And their main thing was, we don't care what you do as long as you're committed to it. And I mean, 'cause my parents, they never played music or anything like that. I got a brother that plays baseball. They never played baseball or anything like that. So they're just they're very supportive in that aspect. Like, if your thing is you want to go to college and be a doctor, then sure, we'll be behind you. If your thing is you want to go chase a crazy dream, we'll be 100% behind you too. So,
and that's, I think, all the parents should aspire to be. I try to do that with my kids too, and I know Randy's got a couple kiddos.
Oh yeah, for sure. I got a 19-year-old in Texas A&M, so but she plays music too on the side.
Awesome.
And she does a lot of all sorts of neat stuff, and she's got her head together, and she's still, whatever she wants to do, as long as she sticks with it.
Yeah, I think that's what they need to do. When did you?
cool.
We're gonna give Randy some FaceTime here, because when did you start getting into Did you get into audio engineering first or video?
Well, I did production after I got out of the military way back when, in the early 90s, after the first Gulf War. I went to Florida State and some community college, and then started working in television and radio. And, you always have to do your air checks and your, all that good stuff. And then was in business for myself for a while. Then that price point came down on equipment, and everybody thought they were Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but I had a knack for fixing things and making everything work. So I moved into the engineering side of it, and
that's the part that's hard.
It gets a lot harder. The math gets harder.
Yeah,
and the places you have to go to make it all work get a lot harder. But we did disaster recovery after Katrina in New Orleans, and kept WWL on the air with a group out of Baton Rouge that I worked with, and we've rebuilt stations from the ground up, and then here, and then I had to get off the road for a while, and I worked out of Houston for both Lieberman and CBS for about 10 years or so, and then the traffic got crazy.
Yeah, seems like CBS would be a hard gig to get. Is it? I mean,
it's anything in the top 10 market and the top of your field. I mean, it's Houston's number 6 DMA, which is how markets are ranked. Even though we're the 4th largest city, it's the 6th largest market, because markets overlap. Like Dallas-Fort Worth is a larger market but smaller cities.
Right. So is it done more on coverage area?
It's done on your coverage area, on how many people you cover. But anybody that does engineering or anything like that in a top 10 market, you're at the top of your game. And but it's very demanding. You're on call 24/7. 365.
Yeah, I mean, if a natural disaster,
if it's Christmas morning, or well, I won't go there. It doesn't matter what, you got to go and put it back on the air. The storms, you wait for a few minutes till the worst part's over, then you go out and dry up the water and put we've had assets on top of Chase in downtown after the hurricanes here. I think that was Ike, Hurricane Ike, and you got to go up there and you got to fix it, put it back together, make it work again, and keep them on the air, because every second you're off, you're losing money.
A lot of money.
People that are spending that money do not like to lose it.
Right, and they're not very forgiving on that.
No, they're really not. And but you also get to learn a lot of other stuff about the business and all of that, and doing all sorts of crazy stuff.
Network and meet other people too.
Certainly.
And I'm sure some of those connections would carry over to getting out of, when you get out of that and go and do your own thing.
Certainly it does. And then over the years you make connections and stuff, and you keep them up. And we got out of that business and started my own little production company where we do all sorts of neat and fun stuff. And
when I first read the name, I didn't realize the genius behind it. And then we were talking last week, and then you said it out loud, and I actually understood it. So Randy's from Cut and Shoot, Texas, and the name of his company, his video production company and audio, is Cut and Shoot Studios. And so if you think about, I mean, what do you say when you're producing? Cut. And shoot.
You're shooting and you're cutting. You're either cutting a track of audio, you're shooting video, and you're doing all that stuff. And it took me a while. I mean, I've lived out there for 13, 14 years now, and my business had another name previously. And it was like one day I was just driving through. I'm like, well, damn, that makes sense.
It's so brilliant when you think it.
Sitting there staring in the face. Yeah. That's so cool.
And so I looked it up, and nobody else, nobody else had domains or anything like that. So I, did all of that and did all the business, and it worked out that way. Yeah, and
now you do a lot of work with John Schneider, who we played one of the older versions of his songs.
Yeah, for sure.
Play another one here in a minute, but. So for you youngsters out there, that would be Bo Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard that your parents used to watch.
Well, that's also Superman's dad from Smallville.
Yeah, he was good in that. And so you got to work with Dean Cain and all that.
I worked with Dean Cain and on a movie called Four to Go that we shot out at John Schneider that he wrote and directed. We had Carrie Cahill from The Walking Dead and some other actors that have played various parts in movies, and then we also had Mickey Gilley and Johnny Lee come out, and Johnny Lee actually had a pretty big role in the movie, and it's great. And Cyrus Vance, cool. He's the bounty. I guess he would be the deputy in charge of finding the escaped convicts.
Okay. All right. Don't give away too much of the plot now.
Oh, no. It's all available online. They can rent that.
What's the name of that movie?
That was called Four to Go.
Four to Go. Oh, yeah, that's right. You gave it to me.
Yeah, I did.
I've got a copy right here on one of those ancient DVDs.
DVDs.
Yeah.
But it is available digitally online as well.
That's awesome.
And then we had a lot of fun. And then we went up to playing John's older stuff. Back in the 80s, he had like 4 number 1 hits and a bunch of number 1 albums and a lot of good stuff going on. Hanging out with Johnny Cash, all that cool stuff.
Yeah, and, good stories.
There's a lot of good, neat, and fun stories.
One of these days, I'm going to use my connection with Randy to get John in here.
Yeah, and we're gonna work on that real quick. But it has been crazy. We went to Nashville and recorded 22 new songs. And what the premise of it was the twofold. One, we were going in and we're going to shoot the entire process of recording an album or music live in the studio. It's all stripped and cut down. It's pretty much one take with the best musicians in the world that are available in Nashville, and we videoed it all. We had 7 cameras rolling the whole time.
Cameras on the drums,
cameras everywhere that we could get them and not be totally intrusive. These guys got to work, as y'all know, and we had a lot of fun doing it and shooting it. And it's and there's going to be a song released once a week for the next 22 weeks, and then at some point we're going to go back and do another 30 songs. So it'll be a year's worth of music every week. And that the song gets released, a music video and a behind-the-scenes video will all be released once a week, and we got 2 of them so far.
And when he says behind-the-scenes, I mean you're there. You're underneath the snare drum. I watched that. I finally did watch that video, and it's really cool. They got the cameras on the guitar here, and then they've got a camera right next to the piano keys, and so if you want to see a certain part of one of your favorite songs is, then. Like my keyboard player, he might be just really drawn to I want to see what he did on that piano, He's got piano porn, It's so when they so it's very very much behind the scenes. It's really cool. Is that accessed through John's site or?
You can access it through John Schneider Studios, or you can go to Facebook. It's Artist Studio Access.
Okay,
and then it's all available. Some of it's behind a paywall. The behind-the-scenes stuff, that's behind the paywall. The music videos are just some quick and simple videos that we're putting out, and those are on YouTube, and those are usually free. And then the music itself is available on CD Baby.
Okay, cool.
And those links are all online. And on John's, you just Google it.
And while we're at it, and I'm actually thinking about it, so I don't have to force you to remember it. So he did a recording of good old boys again with a whole plethora of amazingly famous people.
Yes.
And it's for a reason.
It is. It's for Waylon's Diabetes Foundation.
Okay.
We figured out that it was 38 years to the day that the Good Old Boys song hit number 1 the night we recorded it, which is... oh, yeah. It's not supposed to ring. It's off. But we went in with it's strictly for charity. The first song that we released for the year is Good Old Boys. And we went in studio. We cut the first track, the master track, with all the musicians and stuff, because we brought in like 40 or 50 other people, everybody from Tanya Tucker, Confederate Railroad, Bobby Bear, everybody, and the musicians came back and sang. Steve Warner and the Nelson Brothers, all of these guys came in, and everybody sang on it, and that one is just, it's a super, and all of the proceeds go to the Diabetes Foundation.
That's really cool. Really cool. I know that in Texas they just recently did the
Faith in the Water.
Faith in the Water, where you get a bunch of people together.
The Texas Music Hall of Fame and all.
It'd be cool to get invited to one of those one day to be a part of something like that, wouldn't it?
I went up there. I'm just shooting video. And
He's just shooting video. It's like, hey, I'm just a videographer, but I get to live the life.
I get to have a lot of fun. We had Steve Warner in there, and
that's so cool.
We recorded songs. The 22 songs were from just so many different songwriters that were just off the hook, and it was just the list goes on and on and on.
That's my 2018. My 2018 goal is to write songs for other people. That's
that's how you get paid, apparently.
Apparently, but you and I were talking about that beforehand. You can't just it's no more one song, but you can if. With the way people get paid now, though, you can slowly build up to where you've got, first you cut one hit, and then now your reputation is pretty good. Like, oh, he wrote that song. Yeah, we'll write one with him. And then, but also the more hits you start getting, the more people are involved in your project. So you really got to kind of start hitting like this marathon of just people just taking your songs, and because it's hard to do just like be a solo songwriter and be able to get people to take your song. Most of the record labels are going to be like, okay, well, they want to change this word. And you're like, okay. Change the word. Give me my check, half my check, whatever.
Whatever it is.
But yeah, that's what I'm really getting to where I like to be close to home again. And I've done this for a little while now. And we hit the road and we've done all that stuff. And the older my kids get, the more involved they get with the stuff they're getting into. And I enjoy staying close to home, and I can do a lot from home now. We're doing this from home, which is awesome. And I can write songs and still be creative and still perform. And I'll never get sick of performing. Anywhere there's a stage that they want me on, I'd love to be on it. But as far as having to travel to do the business side of the music thing, I'm trying to more streamline it to my house.
Totally.
And it works for me. But I do think that there's a value to getting out there and just hitting the road and hitting the pavement and just going gung-ho like you are, like Caleb, who was here a couple weeks ago. I mean, you've got to go in there and do it for sure. And I did it years ago, and I'm just getting old.
It'll wear on you being on the road, regardless engineering or radio or touring or whatever, and you're in different cities every night. And I'm sure you're still nice and young and got plenty of energy and all that. But so
you can drink every show, and the next day wake up and it's no big deal.
Yeah, it's no big deal. So so how many shows a week are you doing? And then how many different cities are there, and how many miles are in between? So you look at that odometer on the van, and I go, oh crap!
Gosh, I wish I had a van.
Kenna needs a van.
I'm looking at my odometer on my car, and I'm like, no, my car is brand new, and it already has, I think, 50,000 miles on it. I think it's about a year.
And you ain't left Texas yet.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, man, it'll do it quick. I remember when when I was doing all that, when I was the road warrior, and especially more of a weekend warrior. But I did radio tours and all that, so I still had to do that. But I was also doing a job where I was working out of my truck all over Houston, and so you add that up, and it added up really fast. And then I gave up the day job to just do music. And actually saved my mileage a little bit on my truck, but then I started traveling further away to do more stuff. So it still added racked up the miles pretty good. But I got a Toyota, 250,000 miles on it. It runs like it's brand new, so I'm happy.
yeah.
It's good. It's a good truck.
Yeah, hey,
That's awesome.
they run and run and run. I mean, 100,000 miles on a vehicle these days ain't nothing. So
Yeah, they run good. Take care of them. And you got that Volkswagen, right? That's a good car.
Yeah, it is. I'm so thankful for it. That's gotten me through radio tour, and right now, like I said, we don't have a van, so we're having to take 2 vehicles to every show, every full band show, anyways. And it's helped us out a lot because I live with my drummer and my bass player, and my drummer has 2 vehicles that don't work at the moment. 2 trucks, 2 big
That's
old trucks
rock and
that
roll
don't work.
right there.
Yeah. And then my bass player just got in a car, a little fender bender in West Texas. And I say fender bender. His truck was basically totaled, and somehow
All that was left was the fender.
Somehow they brought it back from the dead. It took him about a month, but his truck's back. But then it broke down in Abilene, so I think they just got his truck back for the second time. So we're struggling, but this car is like the one vehicle we can rely on. The problem is we just can't fit all of us.
Can't all
in there.
fit.
yeah, it doesn't have the roof rack for the drum boxes.
Just
right?
go ahead and get the cajon, throw it in there.
Right,
and
we just need to get
put a hitch on it, get a trailer.
right. You laugh, but I thought about it.
It'll do it.
There's been some rough days.
When I was a kid, my dad found a great deal on a Porsche 924, which is the smallest of all Porsches. Like it's just it's like, okay, you want a Porsche, good for you. Here's a Porsche. It's as cheap as it gets, but it's a Porsche. And he bought it. He got a good deal on it. And then my dad, being the redneck that he is, he welded up. And this is before you could just go to the store and buy a quick hit, the whatever the hitch that you have now. And so he welded up a hitch and he put it on the car and welded it to the frame and all this other stuff, and he would pull our boats and cattle trailers and everything with this Porsche. It was awesome.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's my dad.
I towed a whole bunch of stuff that I probably shouldn't even with my Hummer. So
Yeah.
I will pull anything anywhere.
It's not pulling it that's the problem. It's stopping it.
Yeah, that yeah, especially when you get up into Tennessee.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I was thinking about getting a Jeep. And I kept asking my people that would know better than me, like, could I get a Jeep and pull a band trailer? And they're like, well, you pull one, you ain't gonna be able to stop one very well, especially if that thing starts getting squirrely on you.
Yeah.
And I was like, what about those 4-door Jeeps? And they're like, that's not a Jeep.
That's not a Jeep.
But no, those things are cool. They've come a long way. But I also have a family, so I can see the practicality of a 4-door Jeep.
No doubt. Those are actually, they're probably more popular than the small ones now.
They
People
are
get out
now.
and taking families on the trail rides and all that.
I was watching my friend drive. Their son's 16, and he was driving a Jeep. He's driving, and he has a Jeep. And I might be listening to this, but I won't say any names. But he, well, 2 things happened yesterday. I'm driving by their house, and he just pulls out. Didn't even see me. Just pulled right out in front of me, and I didn't have to lock up my brakes, but I definitely had to push them pretty hard. And then he starts driving down the road, and I noticed that every little correction he made was just this big jerky motion. It's like, whoa, whoa. And I was like, man, teenagers can't drive, especially in a Jeep because everything's so rigid and stiff in the Jeep. So, but, well, hey, we're going to take another break, and I wanted to play another John Schneider song.
Certainly.
And then we'll play another one of your songs, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about more cool stuff.
I've been to California, where the ladies look so fine. They can take a long-haired country boy and softly bend his mind. Made love in New York City, where they dress in silk and pearls. But Lord, I swear there's nothing anywhere that's better than a country girl. Those country girls are sweeter than Tupelo honey, and country girls warmer than the Georgia sun. They know how to touch you, know how to love you, take you right out of this world. Chicago in their high-rise penthouse rooms with fine champagne and other things you could drown in their perfume. But I'll take a night down in Mobile, just looking out across the bay, with a country girl lying next to me, taking my breath away. 'Cause country girls are sweeter than Tupelo honey, and country girls are warmer than the Georgia sun. Yeah, they know how to touch you, know how to love you, take you right out of this world. I'm so glad that God made country girls. Yeah, I'm so glad that God made you country girls.
She lives southbound down the San Marcos exit. Think I got it figured out now. While you head in that direction, you jump on that interstate because you can't wait to get on the road with her. She probably wouldn't be worth the drive if you couldn't go 75. That traffic would have moved a little slower. You probably would have never even got to know her. That pay straight away makes it easy. Boy, I wish it was a dirt road, believe me. Those white lines stretch just like the truth. And now I've got 35 reasons for leaving you. It would be shut down if I had it my way, and you would have to turn around. 'Cause your way is the highway, but would you go the extra mile to see her smile down that open road? She probably wouldn't be worth the drive if you couldn't go 75. That traffic would have moved a little slower. You probably would have never even got to know her. That pay straight away makes it easy. Boy, I wish it was a dirt road, believe me. Those white lines stretch just like the truth. And now I've got 35 reasons for leaving you. You can drive into the sun, but I'm the one that's leaving you behind. She probably wouldn't be worth the drive if you couldn't go 75. That traffic would have moved a little slower. You probably would have never even got to know her. That pay straight away makes it easy. Boy, I wish it was a dirt road, believe me. Those white lines stretch just like the truth. And now I've got 35 reasons for leaving you. Yeah, I got 35 reasons for leaving you.
Relax, enjoy the difference at Classic Galveston.
Hi, I'm Howie Bentley, owner of Classic Auto Group Galveston, inviting you to the classic way of doing business, which means the customer always comes first. Need service after the sale? We've got you covered with our service parts and body shop. Let us cater to your needs the classic way, island style. Visit us at classicgalveston.com.
Classic Galveston, enjoy the difference, island style.
Welcome back, everybody. That time we got the whole commercial play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that always helps.
We're getting better every time. So I decided I was going to bring out my my notes here to see if we were on track and everything. And yeah, I'm doing pretty good with my memory here.
Yeah,
I'm kind of right on schedule. We've talked about guitar woes and Steamboat and supportive parents and the cross or AA cross. Talked about what you're working on.
Yeah,
I did all this from memory, folks. I'm getting
yeah.
really good at this radio thing.
well, you had 2 weeks to prepare for this one, so
Yeah, I started last night. But yeah, so we'll talk about we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. But I do want to know. We played Drunken Poet's Dream because I remember that you covered that. What is your favorite cover to play right now?
Oh gosh, right now?
Or anytime. I mean, it could be whatever.
I think my all-time favorite is going to have to be Misery and Gin by Merle Haggard.
All right.
excellent.
Yeah, that would be it.
So is there... I have some new favorite covers that I like to play for various reasons. Is there a specific... What draws you to that song?
Oh gosh, I guess because I really don't know. I just really enjoy the song.
The feel, the ambience, I don't know.
In all honesty, I like to play covers that, first of all, I like to play covers that I enjoy just as a song and that the crowd responds to. And I feel like the crowd never really expects that song to come out of me. And I think that's why.
I like to do that, stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that it always kind of throws people for a loop. Like, oh gosh, this girl's over here singing Misery and Gin. That's cool. So I like to play that one.
People do that when I start singing Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue. Yeah, they're not expecting that at a country show.
Totally.
But then we end it with Chris Ledoux. We just kind of all blend together there. Then
Awesome.
I like to do medleys. That's my favorite. I like to just start a song and then wind up somewhere completely different. And that's how we do on that one. We start with Home Sweet Home Motley Crue, then we go to Oasis Champagne Supernova, and then we go straight into Cadillac Cowboy. And so you just don't realize you're going to get to that point. But I think I need to stop playing the whole songs. Because I always, you go to some of these shows and a lot of the shows I've seen lately, and there's plenty of people that do medleys, but they're not doing a whole song. They're doing a chorus, and then they're doing something else, and then there's something else, and they'll squeeze like 6 or 7 songs in. Especially the guys that have a whole bunch of hits, and they know that their fans are going to be like, "You didn't play this," and so they play a little piece of it. I've seen them do it where they're not playing the whole song of even if their own, you know.
Oh, there's some killer ones out there from. Oh man. Yep, there goes the names again. But
Thought that one through, didn't you?
I could hear it in my head. But they do some great melodies leading up into one of their songs.
Yeah,
and it'll come to me in a minute.
Medleys are medleys are fun. I over the years I've had several that I've done that I enjoy. There's the you're rubbing off
contagious,
on me.
man. It's contagious.
You're rubbing off on me. The Sublime, where you start off with Sublime, Love Is What I Got, and then I throw in a whole bunch of 80s rap songs. And,
that's cool.
And so there's that. And then there's one where we start off with the change in my pocket going jang-a-lang-a-lang, and we throw in God Bless Texas and the Toby Keith, Little Less Talk, a lot more action. So I just have a whole bunch of those medleys that I do. Then we do Guns N' Roses, Every Rose Has Its Thorn, but we can't just stop there. We got to throw in Knocking on Heaven's Door on the same thing. So I always try to go. I know that from a band's perspective, like, oh, you play Every Rose Has Its Thorn, huh? Well, yeah, but I put my own twist on it, man. Like I throw another song in there.
There you go.
I got to do what I got to do.
That's
But it gets
awesome.
the crowds back engaged after a while. I don't know. I'm still after all this effort and these years that I've put into trying to just be a brand and be the guy that goes out and does the 90-minute set. Still have to cover 4 hours a lot of times, especially acoustic.
Yeah.
So nobody wants to listen to any one voice or style for 4 hours. I don't care who they are. You could put me in front of my favorite person, and I might be good for 2.
Yeah.
But maybe 2.5 if I'm really feeling it and there's a good guitar solo.
Well, it does a bunch of different things. It not only shows your ability to be diverse in what you might like, and helping your crowd and your audience go along, but it also shows that relationship between one style of music and the next, because they seamlessly blend, and
they do,
and it's that same beat, it's that same rhythm, or heck, even sometimes they sound an awful lot alike, and it just helps everything flow. I mean, it's a lot of fun to do musically too when you're trying to practice something and you're trying to figure out just that really hard,
or if you want to write something new, you learn a different way of strumming or a different chord progression or something like that. I got a buddy, Ronnie Tinsley, that's doing country music now, but he was metal, and he we asked him why he did a country album. Like, man, if you're doing metal and rock or whatever. And he was like, well, I noticed that whenever I'd go play these songs acoustic, that it kind of came out country anyway, because it's just me and my guitar. So I thought it'd be fun to do a country album. And he does, and it still has that driving sound of a rock band, but it's got the storytelling and the songwriting of country. It's really good. Ronnie Tinsley's another one that y'all can check out. I've done a couple shows with him too, and his band's tight.
That's cool.
And they got good gear, so it sounds good.
That always helps, It
always helps, yeah. Production can make or break a good band or a bad band.
Totally.
There's a lot of good bands that get maybe more credit than they're worth because they have good sound people, and then there's great bands that without a good sound, if sound sucks, you're not coming back to that show again.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's very important.
Sound guy can't have a bad day.
No. Well, he can have one.
Yeah, just one.
You can't have two. It's like skydiving. You only need a parachute if you want to skydive twice.
Yeah.
This is true.
So you've gotten to meet a lot of cool people through this musical journey you're on.
Totally.
And I know you met Cody the other day, but besides just coolest person I ever met, like the coolest hang, like who have you gotten a chance to just, even if it was 5 minutes, but more than just I play too, and like, did you get guitar lessons from a special person, or did you a cool hang? If you need time to think, we'll let Randy do it, because he's got all these other people in his back pocket.
Ones.
Yeah.
I think the coolest one here recently off the top of my head, Pauline Reese, out of everyone. I met her actually she was playing at a house party. Not really a house party, she was playing a house concert.
Okay. And
we were all just kind of sitting around watching her and just enjoying our time out in West Texas. And after she got done, she could have loaded up and gone right back straight into her camper and just headed to the hotel, but she actually hung out with me and my best friend Morgan Rutherford. She's another musician, another singer-songwriter who's awesome. And we sat around and talked to Pauline for the longest time. I was asking her advice about like real advice about like, how do you afford to get from here to here? Like, what do you do? Like, how do you do your spreadsheets? Like real questions,
big
that like
questions,
real personal questions, right? And that was the coolest thing, because that meant more than a guitar lesson or a vocal lesson. That was like, girl, like she sat down and was like, this is what you need to do. Like, you need to write this off as an expense right here. Like all these things, everything. And she listed out everything, how she does it and how she gets some venues to book her and how she deals with being a female in the industry. And that was honestly the coolest experiences I've ever had.
Yeah. Well, those are life lessons too.
Totally,
They're not just music lessons.
That's invaluable information, believe me.
Extremely.
Because that's the hardest question for anybody. I've been at this 20 years. I still don't know how to afford to do it.
Yeah.
I know how to give my money away. That's no problem. And I have gotten pretty good at writing stuff off, which is good. I had a good CPA, and that part of it is valuable, because that's the only way sometimes taking a loss is the only way to make money in this business.
That's in any business.
But the business part of the music business is tricky. It's hard. It throws you for loops. The performance part's easy, right? Because that's what we want to do.
Totally.
And I still think that, and maybe it's just because you want what you can't have, but having the team that helps you, a legit team, that your success is just as important to them as it is to you. Most of the people that we admire, somewhere along the way, has a team. Even old Ray Wiley Hubbard has Mother Hubbard.
Oh, yeah.
There's somebody that cares just as much as they do helping them. Because you used to just be an entertainer, Now you have to be an entertainer. You have to be a photoshopper. You have to be a video editor. You have to be a social media guru. You have to
marketing, sales, and everything else that goes along with business.
To be that, because you gotta do that well enough to get noticed by somebody that will be willing to take over. Exactly. Hey, you're making money. Let me have some of that. I'll do your job for you. But you got to get to a point where you're doing it first. And that's rough, man. So anybody that can give you advice like that, that's good. Yeah, that is a good hang. That's a better answer than I was expecting. I was just like, you just got back from Steamboat. I'm like, yeah, this dude showed up. He brought this vaporizer. He was all like, welcome to Colorado.
Steamboat was some cool hangs, but not necessarily really life lessons.
There's stories about on top of the mountains that I've heard. So.
Falling off of mountains. I've got some.
I got one stories from a Paul Thorne that was killer.
Oh, was it?
Hey, I actually got to meet him.
Oh, awesome!
I got to actually this past week. I'm gonna name drop really quick. Got to meet Paul Thorne and Mike McClure and Stoney LaRue. I actually got to play a song for him on the bus heading back to Denver. So there's some cool things going on.
That is cool, man.
It's not name dropping. It's people that you get influenced by and everything else.
It's name dropping.
Well, when we were shooting, after we shot many hours, like 10-hour day, and it was what we called Chuck Day in the studio, and it was Chuck Cannon, who's a singer-songwriter, wrote for Toby Keith and everything else, and he's actually buddies with Paul Thorne, and I didn't know that till the last day. I was like, oh, damn. We were sitting around. It was me, other shooter, John, and him, and John's got this 38 Martin that he's had redone, and it's just the sweetest sound. It's like a little 3/4 size Martin, but it's the best sounding guitar you've ever heard, and you'll hear it on all those new tracks. And he was just sitting around playing, and I was like, roll tape. And it was just one of those killer hangs, and cool. John was just like, holy crap, he was sitting in there going, okay, what do? You just sit there and do it.
Wow.
It's cool to when recording like that, like the magic can get recorded. I know that there's some stories like Eric Church doing something like that, where they just he actually had videos of that where him and his producer would kind of go in, and there are times that they're just laying on the floor trying to come up with ideas, and then but the second someone would start singing or start playing guitar, the engineer's in there just pushing the button. And there's a lot of stuff that got in his album. Whichever album has the whole damn house is gonna be shaking, whatever that song is. Knock some sheetrock off the wall. Wrecking Ball, yeah. Wrecking Ball, but that whole album, there's a lot of that stuff where the musical parts of it were actually done the day they were creating it, and wasn't even part of the actual finished studio when they were coming in and doing the studio stuff. They just kept that, and it sounded really raw.
Is that the same one with Mr. Misunderstood on it?
I think that was the next album.
Oh, was it the next one? Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Misunderstood's a good song.
I love that so much.
Well, there was one I
didn't want to like Eric Church. I did not want to like him, but damn it, he wore me down, and I like him.
Mm-hmm. I think it was a Paul Overstreet song, or maybe a Bobby Tomberlin song. I can't remember actually who wrote it, but it's called Two Trains that were recorded. And you go in for the listen down in the studio, and that's the first time all of these players and stuff hear this song. You do the national number system, so there's nothing on the plate. There's just a couple of some numbers and stuff, and all these guys know what it means. And you go in there, and they were listening to the song, and they were like, well, wait a minute, let's... And they actually just rewrote it right there in the listen down and changed the lyrics just a little bit and changed the meaning to some extent. And it made it such a better song. And then even one of our backup singers, Candy, who sings with everybody. I mean, she's probably
with a name like Candy.
Yeah, she couldn't do the song. She could not make it through in the studio singing a song because she just.
Started crying
without giving it out because it's not out yet, so I can't. I'm trying to be a little elusive on what the song's called, but it's called Two Trains, and that's one that'll be coming out too. But that's that whole creative process where you go in and bam, and then these guys, you're listening to just a raw demo from either the songwriter or maybe they had some of their friends come in and help cut their demos, and they'll sit there and they'll rewrite it and just put it all together in about 10 minutes. Or 15 minutes. That was probably me as somebody trying to get a hold of me that I don't really want to talk to. It's quick, it's fast, it's you go in and I mean, we cut one day we cut 6 songs.
Yep. Well, my second album was similar to that. I mean, I went and my producer was here in Texas. He's out of Lake Jackson. And then all the guys, we went to Nashville and we recorded at Ocean Way Studios, which is just amazing. It's this old church. It's really cool. And all the musicians are Texas guys, but they live in Nashville. So we still kind of tried to keep Texans involved. But the whole process was so fast. Because my first album, Phil Pritchett was my producer. And my band played on the first album, and we just basically recorded what we've been playing for 10 years.
Right.
And it still took a little longer than it should, and some people had jitters and couldn't perform under pressure, or it wasn't as clean when you isolate them as it sounds on a stage when you're in front of a bunch of people and everybody's drinking. But when we went to Nashville, it was the same thing. I went up there, except for changing the words and everything, because I'd already had it all written down. But I wrote 8 songs in a month leading up to going to Nashville, because I was only going to do an EP, and then it opened up that I could go do a full album. And I was like, oh crap! So I started writing, and I did 8 songs in a month, and all of them, in my opinion, were amazing, like my best yet. And so we go up there, and the band leader came in, and he's like, okay, he'd already charted everything, so the only changes we would make is, I have a tendency of getting to the end of a chorus and then playing the whole progression of the whole chord progression before going into a verse. Yeah. And instead, he's like, "Okay, we're just gonna do a turnaround right here, and we're gonna go right back into the verse," And so we talked it all out. We agreed on everything. And same thing. We go in the studio.
Bam.
They have a minute and a half, and all these musicians come in, and in a minute and a half, they play the rough cut that I send them, and they have the chart, and they listen to a minute and a half of the song. Then they go in. Everybody sets up. Y'all ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, 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 boom. The song happens just like you imagined it in your head. And that was the beautiful part of it. Because the first album, it was what we could do and what it kind of evolved over time. And maybe not be what it was in my head when I wrote it, but it came to be what it was just because that's what we could do. But when I wrote the songs, you can hear it in your head what you want it to sound like. Right. That's doing it and thinking it are two different things. But up there, man, it was just like, because I got to have some liberties as far as saying, okay, my drummer hits the drums really hard. My bass player is a funk bass player. My guitar player is from like Zeppelin kind of stuff. Like he loves that. So they knew what my sound was, and they had the right musicians in there to do it. And but it happened so fast, like you said. They listen to it a minute and a half, then they go in, and there's no double takes. Wow. I mean, well, there is. There'll be like.
There'll be some inserts and stuff like that.
The guitar player.
Oh, we can do that just a little bit better. Right. Let me do a fill here. Or
exactly.
Whatever,
or they'll do 2 or 3 different parts. Like the guitar player was John Conley, not that one.
No, the other one.
Not that one.
But
yeah, he was on there on the.
But he would just lay down like first he would lay down straight up guitar, and then he plays some electric rhythm, and then he plays some slide, and then he plays slide with a different slide, and then he would he was really cool and gave us all kinds of options. And lap steel, we had some. It was really cool. It was great musicians. The guy that played the drums is Lonnie Wilson, and he's played on thousands of top 10 songs. He's played every Brooks and Dunn, Alabama, Kenny Chesney. Like he's been on all. And I got lucky. I had all those guys because they should be a lot more expensive than it was, but it still was expensive for me. But anyway, so. What I was going to talk about the crying part, though, was that I had a song I'd written for my mother-in-law, and she had, it was like really recent when I was in the studio that she had passed away. And I wrote this song for her, and writing it on paper was one thing, but then we get into the studio, and the second they start playing it exactly the way you were hearing it, and I had to sing a rough cut over the top of that without crying. That was hard. Oh, yeah. I still don't play it live because it makes me cry. I'm scared of that song.
There was during the whole process, even John, and you'll see it when the behind the scenes come down. I mean, everybody was just like, oh yeah. Everybody. All the musicians, because they can hear all the cuts in their headphones and everything else, and everybody was just it's just boohooing all around, and it's like, yeah, okay. Hope this one goes number 1.
Yeah. I hope so.
There's a lot of shed of tears and stuff. And so, where are you playing at next?
Oh gosh, well next in town, next one I'll be around Houston area. It'll be February 16th. That's a Friday. Me and the boys are playing at Firehouse Saloon. So
Awesome
tell everyone,
venue.
bring
Legendary.
everyone out. Yeah. So we're trying to get as many people out there as possible because we want it to be a fun night because it's our first time we're in Houston for a long time and the last time we'll be there for a while, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So that
Total
makes sense. We haven't been there in
Yeah.
a while. We haven't been here in a while. We won't be here for a while. So.
Right. So we're coming, but we may not come back. It all depends if you show up or not and cheer.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I love Firehouse, and I remember how exciting it is to the first time I got to play there. So
Yeah.
congrats. It's going to be cool.
Thank you.
I like seeing my friends get cool gigs. Somebody else just got a gig at Heather Raylene just got a gig at
Stampede.
Stampede, but also
Where's she playing?
Whatchamadoodles out there in Katy, Moe's.
Moe's?
really?
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, dang it, I've been trying to get into
That's
Moe's for
awesome.
20 years. I can't get into Moe's.
She's
But,
really kicking butt right
She
now.
is
She's
kicking
doing
butt
well.
right now. She's doing awesome. All my friends are doing female friends, man. Girl power. Like
Yeah,
y'all are
exactly.
kicking ass. It's awesome. I like seeing it, especially because y'all are all good. Y'all have your own style and your own voice. You can play your guitar. You're not just it's great. You're the real deal. It's really cool, and you deserve everything that you can get. So
Well, thank you.
I'm on board.
Heck yeah.
I'm team whatever y'all want it to be called. Team woman singers.
What is it? They have that thing going on, the grits, the girls raised in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't heard that, but I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's,
seen that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's
another
Johnson.
radio show. So
Is it a radio show?
yeah,
I know
it's a
like-
radio and a podcast video.
Oh, is
it's
it?
a live stream, but yeah.
I didn't know that. I know they actually it's like a group of people. They actually like go put on shows. I didn't know that there was a
Yeah,
radio thing
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
So
that's-
besides what's going to happen at Firehouse, because that's gonna be the new answer to this next question.
Yeah.
What's the coolest gig you've done so far?
Ooh. Okay. Oh goodness, I got a couple. The coolest show we had as a band, and just like, I mean, we've been a band since January, so we've only been traveling together for about a year now. And the coolest show we've had together was actually here in Conroe at the Do-Si-Do. And it was the biggest crowd that we had by far ever, and it was all for us. It was our show. We had John Loring opening, but for the most part, we brought in a little over 100 people, and that was really cool because I
Very cool.
didn't know that we could do that. And so that was really cool. But I think other than that, the coolest show we ever had as a band was we got to open up for Chris Knight in Lubbock in October, and that
Awesome.
was amazing.
Big crowd, or how big was the venue?
Honestly, the venue was pretty big, but there wasn't that many people.
No, oversell it.
Oversell it. It was packed. It was
Yeah.
crazy. No,
But the people that were there, I'm sure, were like
Totally
100% into it.
totally.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool because Chris Knight, he's a man of few words. He doesn't talk very much. But after our set, he came over to me and shook my hand. He said, "Thank you for opening like so much." Like,
Very cool.
had some really cool things, and that was cool just because I listened to Chris Knight back in high school when I was a loser kid that didn't have any friends, and I liked to play music. I listened to Chris Knight because no one else my age knew who Chris Knight was, and so that was cool just to get
A lot
that
of songwriters
confirmation.
really respect him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zane Williams is probably the one that has always just been so cool. Like there was one night he had just got done playing 5 shows in a row, I think, and he was sick, and we were playing. We were just opening for him, and over there at is it Bonita? Which one's in Nacogdoches?
Bonita
Yeah,
Creek,
we were at Bonita Creek, and he was nice during sound check and everything, and he's like, "Hey man, what time's your set start?" I said, "At 9:00." He goes, "Okay, cool." And then he sends me a text at 8:45. He goes, "Dude, I really want to be there to support you opening for us, but I just don't feel good, and I need to get rested up for my show." And I was like, "Well, nobody, I don't expect you to be there, but the fact that you wanted to be and you texted me to tell
No
me
kidding.
that you
That's
wouldn't,
cool.
that's some serious respect level. That's really awesome." So I like to see that there's still cool people out there like that.
Totally.
For sure. So let me ask you some more questions here. I was trying to do this without having to pull up my notes and make it obvious anyway. These are going to be hard.
Uh-oh.
I'm just warning you. I'll give you a 5 limit. After 5 you're not allowed to anymore.
Okay.
I should have warned you beforehand. No, I want to ask these questions because we learn from certain things. So we'll start off with what so far musically has been your greatest success as far as you dreamed it up, you had an idea, you had a plan, and it worked out, or it's working out, or you're getting there at least.
Yeah. I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it. But I am thinking about this. Okay. I said I didn't say
Okay.
No, I think the biggest musical success right now was the EP that I just put out, honestly, and that kind of sounds like it's broad subject, but it was the first time that I really sat down and I kind of had like a theme. My first album was more like I need to get stuff out there so that way people can have something to take home with them. And it was more of like a kind of thrown together, and that was like all the songs I had written at the time. And this EP I really had a lot of time to sit down and write, and that I think it really kind of came out exactly how I intended it to. And but even then, I still think I'm growing from that. Other than that, the other like single biggest musical success I think that I've had so far was getting Jarrett Zock and the OSR band to record Spin on Shine, and then having that go to number 2.
That's awesome.
That was, that was the coolest thing. I never really thought about myself as a songwriter that was going to give away songs or anything like that. Not really give away, but have other people record them.
Right. Well, I mean, right now you're still trying to expand your own brand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so the fact that someone else thought highly enough of one of my songs to make it their own and release it, that was really cool. And then I especially didn't think that it was going to be the number 2 song in Texas.
Yeah.
For a couple weeks at that. It was
cool. Well, y'all got Dylan Steen. Y'all both use Dylan Steen, and that dude is hungry, and he wants y'all to succeed.
Totally.
I always wanted to do some work with Dylan. Maybe one day I will, but he's good. So he picks winners. He really does. He's done a pretty good job for the relatively short amount of time he's been doing this. So here's the hard one. I wrote down the way I phrased it. Writing it down seems pretty harsh. We won't go there. We talked about a success. So what is a failure that has taught you a valuable lesson, or has kind of taken you from, I don't know, like maybe we all have this grand picture in our head of how things should work. And we all try as hard as we can. It's part of us as creative people. So with failure comes learning, and you get to learn and be better. So it doesn't have to be your greatest failure, but just a failure that you have learned from, and maybe it'll help somebody else down the road or whatever. But just an interesting thing to think about.
Totally. This whole year has been definitely a learning experience, and that's not a bad thing. I can't say I've been learning strictly from failures, but I've definitely been learning. I've been out on my own, trying to run a band, just little old me, and try to figure out how to get to shows and routing and all of that. I think right now the biggest failure is not focusing. Well, let's see here. How should I word this? Right now, and I'm still trying to figure this one out, so it's still kind of a failure, but trying to figure out how to make sure that my guys are getting what they need, and not relying on acoustic shows to get what I need, if that makes sense. Make sure my full band is getting. That's kind of hard to explain.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure.
Well, it's not hard to explain to me because I've been there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But that's the main thing right now is I want it to be fair as much as it can, and that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out at the moment. Also, a big one that I have learned also is speak up in the studio. Speak up in the studio. Speak up in the studio.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you think that your producer is going to knock you down like they're your producer. If they'll be honest what they think about your opinion, but if nothing else, try it. And if it doesn't come out the way you want it to, then go back to the drawing board.
It's your work. It's your music. It's your work. He's your producer.
Yes, exactly.
He doesn't have anything to say but what you would like him to say.
Exactly.
Right.
And as other artists listening, don't feel bad about, don't rush the process. Take what you have. Like if you get in the studio and you knock everything out in one day for your EP or whatever, take it, listen to it for a couple of weeks. Listen to it until it annoys you.
Yeah.
Because you're
Don't
gonna
be
come
in
up
such
with
a hurry.
Because you're gonna come up with new ideas about I should have been harmonies here. Dang, that would have sounded so cool like this. And so sleep on it and then go back in the studio a few weeks later. So That's the biggest things I've learned this year.
It reminds me of I have a book. I haven't finished it yet, but it's about Waylon. It's written by his son.
I just read that one.
Okay, so the story in that book was when I forget even the kid's name that wrote it. It's not Shooter.
Terry?
Yeah, Terry maybe.
I think so.
But when he first came to live with him, Waylon said, "If you don't like something, speak up. Otherwise, you're on your own. But speak up. It doesn't matter what it is. Just speak up." And he told the story about how one day Jesse ran out of pure cane syrup and used some other syrup, maple syrup or something like that, or molasses.
Molasses,
He used molasses instead. And so he was trying to be nice, and he was like, "Oh, these are delicious." And so she made them that way for years. And one day they got in a fight, and he said something about, "I hate your pancakes." And she was like, "What are you talking about? I thought you loved my pancakes." He's like, "No, I was just being nice." So yeah, definitely speak up.
Yeah.
I love that story.
Might get stuck with molasses pancakes your whole life.
Right, yeah.
No doubt.
Well, that's too short for molasses pancakes.
Amen.
But, all right, cool. Well, I knew that would be kind of a hard question, but I have a hypothetical for you now.
Let's hear it.
So I don't know how things are in West Texas, but I know down here in Houston, which Houston's a totally different music scene. Always has been, always will be. But right now, tribute bands are pretty popular. Everybody wants a tribute band of some sort. Mm-hmm. If the money was right for a 1-year contract, and they said they want you to put your expansion of your own brand, put Kenna Danielle on the shelf for 1 year for the right amount of money, who could you see yourself being a tribute band for a year?
Like who would we?
Like
play?
who would you? Yeah, who would you play? Who would you pick?
I like Janis Joplin. I think I would pick some Janis.
Yeah?
I think I would love to.
And you could do it every day for a year?
I think that'd be tough, but I think Janis would be the one. Or maybe, I don't know, Stevie Nicks is a close one, though. It'd be a tie between Janis and Stevie.
Stevie Nicks. That's honestly one of the best. Fleetwood Mac is still one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I've been to a lot, but that was still one of the best shows.
I think
ever.
Stevie might be a little bit easier on the voice, on the vocal cords, for 1 year.
Yeah, there's a little slower,
a
few more ballads in there.
Yeah, totally.
So the other thing I remembered to write down that I remembered about you from knowing you earlier on was that even at a young age, you kind of had a older songwriter soul. So the people that influenced you, the music you liked and all that. So were you always like that? Or was it because your parents listened to that kind of music? Or your dad's like, "Hey, if you're going to play real music, you got to listen to this"? No,
actually, I was a big Ray Wylie Hubbard fan. I don't even know how it came about. I loved Ray Wylie growing up.
Because he's Ray Wylie Hubbard.
Yeah, but I was the one who discovered Ray Wylie. My parents had no idea. I took them to a Ray Wylie Hubbard concert when I was 10 or 11 years old. I was like, please go to this concert. It's at Main Street Crossing in Tomball. I was like, can we please go to this concert? And they were like, why in the world does our daughter want to go see this old guy? And they go to the concert and they enjoyed it so much. And they're like, okay, I see, but just like, why do you listen to this stuff? And Chris Knight was a big one that I got into, and Ryan Bingham. And these were all artists. I don't even know how I got into them. It was just one of those things. I gravitated toward that type of songwriting. Mm-hmm. And of course, I like the older country too. George Strait. I grew up around 90s country.
Yeah.
That's what I heard growing up, and I just kind of branched off from that. Got into
Randy and I were talking
stuff.
about that too. I think what age you're the most influenced by music and the culture that is around you. And I think it's that 6th grade, 7th grade time frame, and whatever was popular then is what you're going to kind of hang on to your whole life. I mean, you might have a rediscovery, I guess, but I guess I did. I had a rediscovery because, I mean, when I was 6th and 7th grade I went from being a skater to a headbanger, and I went from Guns N' Roses and all that to Metallica,
Right.
But then when I turned 21, that's when I was introduced to Texas country, and I was like, holy crap, I can write my own songs and sing them too. This is awesome. So I did have a rediscovery. But there's still this thing inside my soul that if I hear some song, some hair band from the 80s, I got to listen to it. I just can't not. It's part of my whatever. It's in there. And even when I write, I kind of wish I could write that way, but I can't.
Exactly.
When I write, it comes out country. There's nothing I can do about it. It's what I write. I don't know.
That's cool.
I'm trying to flex those muscles and get outside of my comfort zones a little bit and do a little more bluesier stuff.
Exactly.
Some Warren Haynes type stuff, and
start breaking it down.
Here lately, I've been really. Well, I've always been a big Whiskey Myers fan since I first heard of him, and I see that go to all their shows whenever I can. But here lately, I've been trying to write more towards that genre, just because with the band, like acoustically, anything you play is going to come out a little bit more country.
Right.
But with a band, like we just love jamming out on stage. And,
that's how we are. We love jamming. We have the most fun when we're covering like some rock song.
Exactly, and that's when I realized I started to write like "Sipping on Shine." That one is definitely a little bit more towards that.
Yeah.
Or "Playing with Lightning" is what it's called on the CD. That's definitely that's our most fun song that we can play on stage. That's an original, anyways. And so we're definitely trying to write more towards that because I want to have fun. The boys want to have fun. So
yeah, well, people respond to it. Live shows respond to it. It's really hard. I've got ballads that I'm really proud of, but it's where do you work it in? You're like, everybody take a shot. Let me play this really sad song for you.
Yeah, keeping that show, the flow of a show going and reading your audience and then, where do you put, some songs in and where you don't and all that. That's always it's a task for anybody.
I think being able to have two types of shows is important. Being able to have your acoustic show be very, very personal and all that. And then, and I still feel pressure behind an acoustic show. I'm like, okay, the person next to me just played a slow song. I gotta play something fast. I can't.
I'm the same way.
I'm like, nope. I did Dripping Spring Songwriter Festival last year, and almost everybody sings a medium to a slow tempo song, and everybody's okay with it. And I go, okay, so am I then. And I've just gotten better at not judging myself. Like I just kind of, if they clap when I'm done, they do, and I'm an entertainer. I want to make people happy and jump around. But I also got to remember that when you're singing your ballads and you're doing it, if you can find that groove and put your soul into the words, that's still entertaining. It's just as important form of entertaining as running around and smashing drums with your head.
I think it's actually more, and it's more demanding on the artists and stuff when you can take a crowd that's riled up
and just bring them down
and then just stop them on a dime, capture their full unadulterated attention. In the first 3 bars, you have them. And they're going to remember that, and they're going to,
And there's some artists that are better at that than others. I haven't stopped the room with 3 bars, but eventually
that's the goal. That's just the goal.
I've stopped 3 bars from listening to my music. All right, rapid fire questions, and then we're gonna play some music and remind everybody where we're gonna be and all that good stuff, and start wrapping the show
some
up.
Stuff coming up too. So
yeah, I do. I got something coming up tonight.
Yeah, you do.
All right, so rapid fire round. Are we ready?
I think so.
I thought of these last night, and I'm gonna make some more, but these are just. All you gotta do is just give me the first thing on your mind. Whataburger or In-N-Out? We know the answer to this one. Yeah, absolutely we do. All right, Tex-Mex or barbecue?
Tex-Mex.
All right. Where? Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, I like Popsitos, but El Bosque has a mean chimichanga.
All right. So, controversial questions here. Buc-ee's must stop every time or kind of over it? Yeah. Beer, wine, or whiskey or all?
Wine.
Yep. Taking after Brie. So when I'm not playing music, I actually listen to comedy or I listen to talk radio or podcasts. So what are you listening to when you're not listening to Kenna Danielle?
Podcasts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you like comedy based, music based, art based, political based?
I listen to the music based ones where they talk to the different artists and stuff. But my favorite are the true crime ones where they talk about murders and stuff, like murder mysteries.
Wow. I haven't heard any of them.
I have like 4 of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like they come out with a new different serial killer profile every single week or something. It's kind of dark, but it's really interesting.
All right. I did not see a lot of stuff that comes out of your mouth. I kind of expected. I didn't expect that one out of you. That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
So it almost sounds cliche for a question, but it is kind of a cool question. when you write, are you writing when it hits you, or are you saying, okay, I need to write this month, and you have a routine that you do to write songs, or do you just kind of, or a little bit of both?
That here recently, it used to be I'll write when I'm inspired. The past year, that's something else I've learned is sometimes there is no inspiration. You just have to sit down,
right,
and you just have to do it. Especially out in West Texas, there's flat plains. I'm from beautiful East Texas, and I go to West Texas, and it smells gross, and there's dirt everywhere. So I don't feel quite as inspired out there. This year I've been experimenting with just sitting down and writing songs, and that has been working really well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people say you just need to write something every day, even if it's just one line or something.
Yeah,
but just write, just keep it going, and eventually something will happen.
Yeah, and it's not just writing what you want to write. Write what you like too.
Yeah,
I don't remember where that came from, and I wish I could remember the quote, but it was, "Write every day if that's what you're doing. Write." Not for yourself, but write something that you're inspired by before,
right.
Exactly.
And just always write. Make your schedule and do all of that.
I know that Jason Allen told me one time, and I'm sure I'm misquoting, and I hope I'm not. Jason's good people, but he was talking how he was talking to Dean Dillon one time, and Dean isn't the kind of guy that just, like I said, I'm getting this third party here, but he's not the kind of guy that just sit there and write to write. And he'll say, or what he told Jason was, if you write a song and it's not a hit, throw it away. And there's a lot of other people that say, don't ever throw a song away. Yeah. Ever. Don't ever throw anything you wrote away. And my song, Old Whiskey, used to be a song that didn't even have a chorus. And it started off, it was really a poem. It was like in the middle of trees under the Texas pines. I'm from a small town that loved to hide. And that's not even in the song at all, ever. But when I started writing that Old Whiskey song, I looked back at that poem because I was writing about the exact same subject, just from a different direction. And I was like, oh, I can take this and take that. And then when I was looking at this and reading the poem, it made me imagine something, and I wrote there. And so I kind of lean on the don't ever throw anything away.
Me too.
But and not everything, in my opinion, needs to be a hit at this point. But if you're a hit songwriter, and that's your job, and it's what you're known for, then maybe that's the right approach. I don't know. I haven't figured out the right approach yet. There is no magic formula. That's the only formula. I don't think there's
a right way or wrong way or anything else. There's just a way to do it, and it's your way.
Exactly. So you're gonna be at Firehouse on when?
February 16th.
And people can get your music where?
Oh, Spotify, iTunes, Pandora. If you just search Kenna Danielle somewhere in your search bar, whatever website you're on, I'm sure something will come up.
Yeah, it sure will. The John Snyder stuff.
That's it's johnsnyderstudios.com, or it's also Artist Studio Access on Facebook, and that's the easiest way to find all the links.
Right.
It's on CD Baby.
They can find you on Facebook too and see some cool videos.
Yeah. There's all sorts of stuff on mine. It's Cut and Shoot Studios. I think the shortcut CNS, and there's cutandShootStudios.com. Cool. As well, that's more photography and the business end of it. The fun stuff's on the Facebook, and we've done all sorts of other things with all sorts of people that you probably haven't seen in a while as well that are on there, and behind the scenes pictures and all of that stuff. So
I'm angling to be a gaffer, so I just sit there and put tape down and say I'm part of the thing,
part of the crew here.
So let me talk about some of the gigs I got going, so I don't forget here. So I have my regular Thursday open mic in Tomball tomorrow at the Empty Glass, and so that's happening for sure.
Certainly.
But then starting tonight, I'm doing a songwriter showcase. Tonight I'm showcasing myself. I'm doing a weekly songwriter based show at Pacific Yard House in downtown Conroe, Texas. And that's going to be a standing gig, and it's going to be cool. And I'm hoping that eventually I'll have really cool guests like Kenna show up and do a set with me. If Kenna's not doing anything tonight, she's welcome to come and do a set with me. But that's the place itself. I've talked about it in the earlier shows, but it used to be an old ice house, just 4 brick walls, no roof or anything like that, and it was all old and ran down. But these people bought it. They bought the property, put a roof on it, and they kept all the old ambiance with that's 3 times I've used that word today, and that's fancy.
It's got a killer vibe.
But anyway, all the old brick and everything is still kind of worked into the design and and the decoration there, and they got good food. And if a train comes by, then they have free Jello shots. And it's right on the railroad tracks. Yeah. So the
train there is timely.
Yeah, you get lots of Jello shots. I had to text him yesterday and make sure that was really true, because somebody told me that the first night we played there. And I was like, I don't want to start telling people that you give. He's like, yeah, it's kind of hokey, but I was like, it's just crazy enough to work though.
Hey,
that's awesome.
You can look the train schedules up at.
Go to unionpacific.com. No. Figure out what time is best for you and your friends to come get free Jello shots. But no, the place is cool, and you should look into playing there too.
Yeah,
it's a really neat stage. It's got a cool backdrop, and they got sound already there. Good sound.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And the food, I talked about the food already.
Yeah,
the food's pretty good.
They have a lot of great beer there as well. All our local breweries and all craft brewers and stuff.
It's part of our culture now in Texas, the whole craft brew thing, you know?
Is it not? I mean, there's so many of them out there.
Barbecue, Tex-Mex, craft beer. Yep.
And now, a lot of craft liquor now, too.
That's true. A lot of craft liquor. Yep.
A lot of
What's that? Oh, heartburn? You already got that?
No, I just...
And wine.
I like all the flavored vodkas.
Oh, man.
I don't like peach flavor. I can't do peach.
Yeah,
there's something about the flavor of peach that just...
And everybody's getting into it. I think Kinky Freeman's got a new...
you were telling me about that last week.
Tequila out. And,
Tequila!
And it's top shelf stuff, and it's really good.
See, I'm getting to that age where if I have a craft drink, it's going to be like fuller fiber. Oh, good grief.
That's awesome.
Well, I think that we have covered quite a bit. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's it.
Randy, you got anything else?
No, but where else besides here in Houston? I mean, this show it's on the internet,
man.
so all your fans get to hear it. So where else
this
are you
is
playing
worldwide, baby.
That is true. Let me pull up my schedule right here. We're in, in the month of February, or from now until February, we're in Lubbock, we're in Fredericksburg, Midland, Alpine, Snyder, and then Houston and Corpus. Back in Lubbock.
Sweet.
So we're all over.
You're doing the full press
We are
Texas
all over
road
Texas.
show, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be at Southern Star Brewery on the 12th.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
That's
You'll be
awesome.
playing there. That's
I will be. We're trying to get them to bring us some beer up here to give to our guests. Hopefully, we'll work that out with them. But anyway, hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. Our guest has been Kenna Danielle and Randy Young here. Mm-hmm. And you can listen to this show live with the TuneIn app every Wednesday from between 1 and 3 p.m. I will upload a podcast version after that, so you can listen anytime you want and download, share with your friends, your family, all that good jazz. But thanks for tuning in to KTXF, and we will see y'all next week.
Can't you feel that warm breeze a blowing? Can't you taste that cool Mountain Dew? Can't you feel that feeling? I know you know that we gotta move. 'Cause I've been running that motion, I've been running all night, I've been playing with lightning, I've been sipping that shine, sipping that shine. Can't you hear those whispering pine tops? Can't you taste that hair of a dog? Don't you know that feeling? By now you know our minds are filled with fog. 'Cause I've been running that motion, I've been running all night, I've been playing with
Damn, that's pretty good.
Classic Galveston.
If you've had an accident or just a fender bender, the last thing you need to do is tangle with the big city. When Classic Auto Group Collision Center can take care of all your repairs, island style. Our certified technicians can repair any make or model, and we back up every repair with a lifetime warranty. Classic Auto Group Collision Center, now open at 6601 Harborside Drive. ClassicGalveston.com.
Classic Galveston, enjoy the difference. Island style.
Bye, y'all.